Welcome everybody. Let me first introduce us. My name is Julie Dree from ICC Belgium, and next to me is sitting François Vincke, who is leading the anti-corruption work in ICC Paris. And we're going to exchange ideas about the subject that François intended to present to you, the ICC anti-corruption instruments. François.
Thank you very much, Julie. Indeed, you invited me in Mexico to share with you a certain number of items on anti-corruption prevention. And regrettably, I could not join you because a certain number of circumstances were prohibiting my going to Mexico. I can really say that I immensely regret this, because I may say also that I love Mexico and the Mexicans. Now, the subject you asked me to present is something very close to my heart, because I have been dealing with this for now nearly 20 years. It's 20 years ago that the then Secretary General asked me to chair a commission on anti-corruption. And I hope I can say that indeed we used the time in a correct way. Now, I think also that it is important to underline that the work which we do in Paris is not done in isolation. Our commission is not working in a silo. It is working with other commissions, and we intend to work as much as we can with national ICC committees, and in particular with the National Committee in Mexico.
And tell me, what is your motivation to do this anti-corruption work?
My own motivation, but mainly the ICC motivation, is that it is essential for the continuity of our system, for the continuity of a free market approach, to have a level playing field where all the companies and all the entrepreneurs can work and transact in a free and uninhibited way. It is essential that demand and offer can reach each other, can meet each other in a way which is totally transparent and without the intervention of obscure or other similar means. This is an essential tool, an essential objective, and we at the ICC have always believed that we cannot reach that objective, that we cannot reach this goal without being extremely realistic, pragmatic, and close to the reality of the companies. We are not intending to tell lessons to the authorities. That is not interesting for us. What we really want to do is make reform of the approach of the companies within the companies. And therefore, Julie, we have tried to establish a certain number, a suite of very precise instruments, not blah blah, not intellectual talk, not high-pitched ideologies, but really things which are close to the ground.
Yes, and can you shortly describe the ICC anti-corruption instrument?
Yes, I should be able, after 20 years, to describe them. Actually, without going back to the prehistory, I would say that ICC started as a pioneer in '77, and 20 years ago we took again the first documents which were issued in '77 and modernized them and made them more adequate to the present economic life. The first document which was issued were the rules on combating corruption. And the last edition of these rules dates from 2011. These rules, I may say, are really up to date. They are probably top of the class in their category. And I think they are really a kind of catalogue of corporate standards, corporate ethical standards, which the companies can really use very, very simply and without having to make an enormous interpretation effort. But simply rephrasing, reformulating the laws, the national laws and the international conventions was not enough. We thought at the ICC in Paris, together with the national ICC committees, that we should go at least one step further. And we should extend a hand, a helping hand, to the companies and to the directors, executive, staff and employees to help them build up a prevention, anti-corruption prevention program. Because simply saying corruption is prohibited is evidently not enough. Companies have to build up their own prevention program. That is an ethics and compliance program. And we said we will help them in the many instances where there are issues, concerns and difficulties. And I would list actually 3 documents which we have established on specific subjects, specific items. The first one was on whistleblowing. We issued in 2008 guidelines on whistleblowing. Why was this? Well, very simply, we could see that in the Commission in Paris there was a division between those who thought that whistleblowing as such was very interesting and could help management discover every possible mishap in their company, and others, on the other hand, who would say, hey, wait a minute, this is very dangerous, this is risky, this is divisive in the companies. So we tried and actually succeeded in creating a certain number of essential criteria for making a good, reasonable, intelligent whistleblowing system that you will find in these guidelines. The second issue was the issue of the hiring, the selecting, the hiring, the remunerating and the controlling of agents, intermediaries and other third parties. We all know that corruption is prohibited directly and indirectly, and many corruptive practices occur through third parties. And so it is immensely difficult to know how you can wisely make a choice for finding reliable intermediaries. We have in other guidelines then, guidelines on agents, intermediaries and third parties, indicated a number of criteria, red flags and others, which allow companies to determine which kind of qualities or absence of defaults an agent should have. And we really recommend the use of these guidelines, which are again very practical. The third area on which we have been concentrating is the one of gifts and hospitality. Now, I cannot say that we have issued yet these guidelines because it has been extremely difficult to find a final drafting of these guidelines, but they are about to be issued. So I could say they are going to be issued in any case in 2014. At least that's my real hope. Gifts and hospitality, that looks a little bit like a minor problem. But in fact, many companies come to us and ask us for advice. I hope we have been able, with so many members of the Commission and of the national committees, I hope we have been able to find reasonable, intelligent, pragmatic solutions which the companies will be able to use. And finally, in this category of activities, we have launched a working group for the simplification, the harmonization, and for a better coordination of due diligence questionnaires. We all know that companies are often struggling with so many of those questionnaires, which are asking so many different questions that a lot of time is lost on subjects which are not necessarily relevant. So we will see what this group is going to be able to produce, but I definitely hope that there too we will reach a product which is going to be of very pragmatic use for the companies. And then, Julie, it's not yet finished. We have been working very hard.
No.
There is still a huge area of activity which we had to address. Because making rules is good, is fine. Making a certain number of guidelines on specific and tough subjects is fine too. But you also should, in a way, teach the companies how to establish a real ethics and compliance policy. And therefore, we have been uniting our forces, our resources, with a certain number of other organizations. I mean here the Global Compact, the World Economic Forum, Transparency International, and ourselves. And together, these 4 organizations have established the program which is called RESIST. RESIST is really interesting. And I think for lawyers, it's really a very interesting instrument because it teaches through 21 scenarios how to oppose an intelligent negative answer to extortion solicitation. It is not giving solutions to individual situations as they can happen, but they are really, RESIST is really a very interesting education and training tool and is really recognized as such. We also have, in this category, issued a number of times a handbook for ethics and compliance. And I think that has really been extremely useful because that served the purpose of giving companies the possibility to build a strong ethics and compliance training, ethics and compliance program as such. Mm-hmm. The third element here is the famous ICC Anti-corruption clause. And I will stand a little bit longer with this clause because, as I call it, the Mexican clause. There would be no ICC Anti-corruption clause without Mexico. No. Was the first one who came forward with a document, with a text, which was proposing an ICC Anti-corruption clause. Now, that could not be adopted as such immediately in the ICC organization, and we have been working very hard with a number of commissions in the ICC to establish this clause. I think for you lawyers sitting in the conference, it's really a very interesting subject, because this clause gives you the opportunity to present to all companies of all sizes, of all categories, of all segments of the industry and trade, gives them the possibility to find something which is ready from the shelf. You don't have to renegotiate the whole thing. You do not have to run the risk of having to discuss corruption, anti-corruption, which is maybe not the most attractive subject to introduce in a negotiation. You don't have to do this. You simply can refer to what I would call the neutral ICC clause. It is neutral because it is based on international practice. It is neutral because it's not favoring large or small companies. It's neutral because it's not favoring one legal system above another. It is neutral because also it is based on a double principle: the continuity of contracts and the necessary punishment by declaring the contract null and void in case of infringement of the anti-corruption provisions. So again, Fernando, thank you very much for your initiative. Thank you very much for proposing this to ICC in Paris. And again, thank you very much to ICC Mexico, which has been so instrumental in this document. The last and probably also very essential point which I like to mention is the ICC Ethics and Compliance Training Handbook. This was launched on the 9th of December of last year, 2013. Mm-hmm. And I'm very proud about this book because it is the work of 17 authors who all are practitioners in the field of ethics and compliance. They all devoted a lot of time and energy to make contributions to this book. And I must say, it is really amazing that they were able to devote so much time, of their free time actually, mm-hmm. because they are all involved in their professional life. This book is a guidance by practitioners for practitioners. Again, it's the ICC trademark in anti-corruption. It's practical, it's for the practical people, it's for the working level. And the intention is really to concentrate on the practical subjects which can arise in practical life. Now, you cannot see this handbook in isolation. The purpose of the handbook is not simply publishing for publishing. It is the cornerstone of a new training program which is going to be developed worldwide. And I really believe that also the ICC Mexico, like ICC Belgium, will be able to contribute positively to this training program.
And so what would be your overall conclusion?
Well, Julie, my overall conclusion, first of all, is that I, again, regret not being with you. But I will say, first of all, ICC in Paris cannot live in isolation. We need you, the ICC national committees. We need you, ICC Mexico. We need your input. We need your motivation. We need your ideas. We need your contribution to the training program and to all our activities. My second conclusion would be that the instruments I have mentioned, the tools I have mentioned, are interesting, I believe, we believe, are interesting for all companies, large, medium and small, for all companies everywhere in the world, and also for all professional categories. And there I really think about the lawyers and the bar associations. It is essential that the members of the bar are contributing in a coherent and steadfast way in the fight against corruption. That they give their clients good advice about how to avoid, how to resist to solicitation and extortion, how not to indulge in corruptive practices, and how to build solid, robust anti-corruption prevention programs. It is essential, it is fundamental, and I think lawyers are extremely well placed to do this, together with the compliance practitioners. I conclude my conclusion, Julie, in saying what we are doing, what you are doing, is absolutely essential for free enterprise. It is essential for free enterprise because it's liberating the market, it's giving also access to everybody on the market. The younger people, the gentlemen and the women, those who had not yet access to the market, those who had no established position in the market, those who had no privileged positions, and those who had not essentially a pre-existing situation in the market, but those who have innovative ideas and who can make new and generous contributions to our society. And on these words, Julie, again, I would say it was a pleasure exchanging ideas with you. Regret not being there, physically at least. And I think Julie and myself, we wish you a good conference.
A very good conference, and thank you, François. It was a very good interview.
Thank you very much, and see you later.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.